Good morning to all of you out there and not there. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent. Thank you for joining us this morning via Zoom. Regrettably, due to the increased risk level of COVID in Portage County, our church board has decided to only be virtual this morning. So we apologize if the change has created any confusion for you. It is better to keep attendees safe. Hopefully one day COVID will just be history in our rearview mirror. In the meantime, we move forward, onward, and upward in spite of difficult circumstances. Let's remember to take care of ourselves and one another. I am Randy Bish, worship associate and member of the church. I'm honored to serve today with worship associate and my wife, Heidi Shaffer Bish. This is a time-honored lay-led service, and our located minister, Reverend Stephen Protzman, will return in August. Our musicians, Vanessa, David, Sonis, Lori, and Joe Cully, who many of you know, is our guest professional tabla player and also a visual artist. See some of his work sometime. It's beautiful. Mike Kovancik was scheduled to play with Joe this morning, but unfortunately is unable to be here today due to COVID in his immediate family. Also, we thank Ann Lang, co-director of One Love Yoga Studio, who is here to present a classical Indian dance later in the service. We are a welcoming and inclusive community. We extend an open hand and an open heart, and in this spirit, let's take a few minutes now to share with one another in our breakout rooms. Welcome back. Let's take a moment now to just take some deep breaths, to center ourselves, allowing any stress, allowing any tension to be released, and just be here in this moment. Come, let's worship together.
These are words from the Reverend Abi Janamanchi as printed in the spring 2022 UU World Magazine article titled, "Stitching a Layered Faith." I grew up in a Hindu household. Some of my earliest experiences of devotion came from watching my grandmother every morning after her bath, chanting Sanskrit mantras in front of the family shrine. She embodied the Hindu idea that the spiritual journey is something deeply personal between oneself and the holy, and that I need to find and follow my own path. So I became a Unitarian Universalist Hindu. My UU Hindu faith declares that underlying and animating the human self is a reservoir of being that is infinite, all-pervading, and ultimate truth consciousness joy, or Satchitananda, known as Brahman. The infinite Brahman is present in all beings. My UU Hindu faith finds expression in a deep reverence for life and promotes the interdependence of all existence. It is grounded in the core ethical values of ahimsa, or non-injury, and daya, or compassion. My UU Hindu faith focuses on life before death It is about being awakened from our inertia to life, again and again. It proposes a way of being engaged in this world that is characterized by liberation from the many manifestations of greed and by a deep affirmation of abundance and generosity. My UU Hindu faith promotes the inherent worth, dignity, and divinity of all beings. It rejects any social, cultural, or political systems founded on inequity and injustice. My UU Hindu faith teaches personal responsibility and accountability. It reminds me that the consequences of our actions extend beyond our individual lives. To be a UU Hindu is to do the daily work of investing my time, my gifts, and my life in service of a life larger than our own. If you have a chalice at home, please join us by lighting your chalice as we light the chalice here in Hobbs Hall. We have placed a statue of Ganesha in a place of honor near the chalice to bless our time together. May we be free of obstacles to learning and growing in our search for truth and meaning. As Randy lights the chalice, let us say the salutation to Lord Ganesha mantra to draw him near. I'll say it first, then we can do it all together. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam
Ganapataye
Namaha. Om Gam
Om Gam
Ganapataye
Ganapataye
Namaha.
Namaha.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Mike Ovanzik, who cannot be here today, and Joe Cully teamed up to bring us opening music, honoring Ganesha and auspicious beginnings. Because he is solo today, Joe will play a kaida, rules that are rules for Hindustani classical tabla composition. Like many of us, Ganesha, the beloved half-man, half-elephant Hindu deity, is full of contradictions. While heavy, he rides upon a mouse and is an amazing dancer, light on his small feet. He is said to be a remover of obstacles, and we may invoke him for that purpose. But, being a fountain of wisdom, he may also place obstacles in our way, just to help us learn. Ganesha represents new beginnings and is often given as a wedding gift. He is placed near doorways to provide an auspicious entry. Ganesha is an important deity in the Hindu lexicon, arguably the most important. In the Hindu culture, children learn the story of Ganesha at an early age. What is important about the deities, including Ganesha, are the qualities they model and inspire in us. The stories are often outlandish, but maybe not so much in light of our own superhero stories. They all have a backstory that may describe why they are compelled to defend against the bad guys and how they obtain their special powers. Let's look at Ganesha's origin story. The god Shiva, we have Shiva here, met Parvati. This is our Parvati stand-in. It's actually Lakshmi, a princess and goddess in her own right, and they fell in love, married, and moved to a mountaintop. Shiva was away for a long time, building and tearing down the world and meditating. Parvati was lonely. She very much wanted a child, so she traveled to the sacred river, the Ganges, and made offerings of flowers, most likely, marigolds. Some say she then made a boy out of the earth and breathed life into him. Others say she went to bed, and when she woke up, there he was. However, he came to life. The boy was dearly loved, and his mother, Parvati, was grateful for the companionship. One day, she asked the boy to stand guard as she bathed and not to let anyone pass. At that time, Shiva was returning from his wanderings, and upon coming to the boy, he demanded to pass through. Well, there were a lot of misunderstandings and commotion, and in the process, Shiva lopped off the boy's head. Parvati was devastated, and when Shiva realized what he had done to his own son, he went to the forest. The first animal he encountered was a wise old elephant who compassionately offered his life to save the boy. The elephant's head was removed and placed on the body of the boy. A perfect fit. Shiva then named him Ganapati, Lord of the people, which also it means fighter of demons or obstacles. Ganapati grew up enjoying both writing and eating sweets, as evidenced by his round belly. He wrote down the epic poem, the Mahabharata, a history of Hinduism, which had only been memorized and chanted up to that time. In the process of listening and writing, he grew very wise. In stories told, Ganesha cleverly overcame many obstacles, including no one wanting to marry an elephant-headed man. In some stories, he ends up with 2 wives, Buddhi, which is intelligence, and Siddha, or success. In others, he remains unmarried, but happy. Ganesha is revered by intellectuals, writers, travelers, people in business, and of course, by children.
Returning from our time of silence and meditation, we enter a time of sharing our concerns and joys. We all understand that sometimes life brings with it difficult days, sadness and pain, and COVID. It is often healing to share these things with one another in our beloved community. So please feel free at this time to share your concerns in the chat box, and I'll read them for all of us to hear. Let me ask first if there's any concerns that you might want to mention here, our musicians. If there's a name that you want to just speak out, feel free to do so. James. Wendy. Rob. Stephen. Raven Luna, Black Raven, wishes to share prayers for those with COVID or families with COVID. Indeed. Claudia Miller wishes to share healing thoughts for my friend's husband who was hospitalized this week with pneumonia. Tanya is sharing healing thoughts for her sister, Teresa. Mike, Stephanie, Benny, and Katie want to share the Workman Hovansik family who ask for prayers for their family. Stephanie and Benny are recovering from COVID. Vivian Sandlin shares thinking of Sally Burnell. Let's pray together, please. We speak to the source of all that is and to our hearts. In this moment, Spirit of life, may we find healing and hope. May we let go of anxiety and fears and anger, doubt and distractions. If only it may happen for 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour. May the energy in this precious time lead us together in peace, love, and joy. Amen. Now, there's also joys that happen in our life, good things that happen. I hope that you would agree. So, good things happen. So let's share those joys as well so we can encourage one another with our joys and happiness and good things and celebrations. And those of you on Zoom, feel free to share those as well in the chat box. Any here in the audience? Shout them out.
Construction is finally beginning on my house.
Construction on Lori's house.
Shadows from trees.
Shadows from trees. Yes.
My mom's 89th birthday.
Yay. David's mother's 89th birthday. Not yours, your mother's. Father's sense of humor. Sense of humor helps, doesn't it, in life? Pardon? Oh, yes, that was Susanna that shared that. So in the chat box, we have Donald Gregg sharing his dad celebrated his 88th birthday yesterday. Raven Luna shares blessings for having a wonderful partner in Alyssa. Patricia McLaughlin, grateful for hummingbirds coming to the garden. They are so cool. Ann Andrews shares, good blueberry picking right now. I wish we had some. Our bushes are very poor. I should have shared that in concerns, maybe. So, Claudia Miller shares, grateful for the attending images delivered to us by the Webb telescope. Yeah, those are awesome. Mike, Stephanie, Benny, and Katie share our family celebrated Katie's 7th birthday yesterday, and we are thankful that Katie and Mike are so far feeling fine and showing no COVID symptoms. Wonderful. Happy birthday. Tanya says, attending for the first time, and finally feeling a sense of peace and belonging. Welcome, Tanya. Yay. The Rome family wishes to share that they went to the Upper and Lower Michigan. Sorry, these are sometimes difficult to see. And beautiful and the lake was so clear. Nature is awesome. Jenny and Brooke share they are grateful for the good connections with newcomers and hoping that even COVID does not keep our community from having a sense of belonging. Me too, Jenny. Donna Craver Dean shares the Perseid, is that how you pronounce that? Perseid meteor shower are ramping up. Let me repeat that. The Perseid meteor showers are ramping up. Quite a sight to see. Lie on your back in the grass and look up at the sky at night. About 2 or 3 in the morning, actually. We're so grateful for the good things that come into our lives, that make us smile, that make our hearts leap with joy, and things that just bring us peace. Would you join with me now as we sing together number 1009, a meditation on breathing.
Breathe out. I breathe out love when I breathe in. I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
I've always been drawn to spirituality, reading about it, that is. Yoga, which I discovered about 30 years ago, helped change that. It freed my mental and physical holding patterns that kept the world of feelings, sensations, and emotions at a safe distance. Yoga helped me fall in love with the sensory world of beauty, music, rhythms, aroma, taste, and connection to the all. Prior to yoga, I felt kind of like a walking head, detached from my body, only half alive. My yoga practice speaks to me through the moment-to-moment sensations that accompany holding and then releasing a pose or asana. This is a sometimes intense, sometimes subtle experience of the energy body, or prana, dancing within the physical body. I began to be able to refine the sensations of prana. I can feel the vast difference between bringing my middle fingers together with my thumbs as compared to my pinky fingers while breathing. In Hatha Yoga, every hand and body position has an energy seal or mudra. Yeah, I know that sounds pretty far out and a little bit woo-woo. My rational, overly analytical mind has to get out of the way sometimes and just allow me to experience this incredible, shimmering life force all beings are part of. So on my journey, the practice of yoga took me to one place, aliveness and connection. And the yoga philosophy, well, took me to another place, or to many places. Often the philosophy that is associated with yoga seems disparate and even contradictory, sometimes overly mushy, watered down, new agey, or indulgent, or too rigid, focused on discipline, purity, renunciation of this world in favor of being reborn at a higher stage in the next life. Through asking the big questions and following the implications of the so-called answers, I finally discovered a philosophy that seemed to fit me best, Tantra. Here are some tantric ideas that resonate with me. You, me, all of life. We are all the divine. This life, here and now, is sacred. Everything, everyone is part of one divine consciousness within a field of energy in a constant dance with one another. We are deeply interconnected, and we seek that which we already are, whole. The body is not the locus of sin or impurity. It is divine. There is no original sin. We can experience our divine nature through direct and sensory experience, often in rituals, both formal and informal. Practice can be anything, including art, music, dance, contemplation, mantra, study, work, politics, parenting, and intimate relationships. The light and dark are both valuable. Nothing and no one is excluded, special, or better. Hatha yoga came from Tantra. It diverged from classical yoga by including many more of the physical postures or asanas, as well as a full range of pranayama or breathing practices, and other ways of working with the life force, including the chakra system. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika, a voluminous practice manual, was written by tantrics. I have a copy in my library. Let me take you on a little journey of the divine life force that is coursing through us all. So, let's open and close our hands. Now interlace your fingers, press your palms forward, hold the stretch. Continue to breathe and release. Now take one hand and place it over top of the other and bring your fingers into your palms. Now pull back with the top hand and feel that intense stretch. Woo. It's like a burn. Release. And now the same thing on the other side. Top hand comes over the bottom. Fingers curl in, now pull back. I taught this stretch to a classical pianist who he uses us to prepare for concerts. And now release. Let's shake our hands out. All right, place your hands relaxed, upturned on your lap. So palms face up, just let your fingers relax. Can you feel the life force pulsating? In the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, also known as the Radiance Sutras, the goddess Shakti and her lover, Bhairava, or Shiva, hold a conversation about opening to the divine in everyday life. It opens with the goddess asking questions about her experience. What is this delight-filled universe into which we find ourselves born? What is this mysterious awareness shimmering everywhere within it? What are these energies undulating through our bodies, pulsing us into action? And this matter out of which our forms are made, what are these dancing particles of condensed radiance? What is this power we call life, appearing as the play of flesh and breath? How may I know this mystery and enter into it more deeply? A little history. Tantra emerged in medieval India between the 8th and 12th centuries. Tantrikas were the original leftists. Their radically inclusive and egalitarian views, as well as some of the more startling transgressive left-hand practices, such as ceremonial wine drinking, eating meat, hanging out in graveyards, and wearing of skull imagery, were quite countercultural. This was a body-positive path that included the sanctity of intimate relationships, dance, yoga, wearing jewelry and adornment, and probably some form of body art as well. Medieval tantrikas, actually it is said tantrikas, feminine form, were lovers of art, beauty, dance, and education. They believed one could become enlightened in this life. The highest state is wonder, or aesthetic rapture of the beauty of the embodied existence. Adherents would occasionally study with a teacher, but would spend most of their time with their families performing their worldly duties. They were not disciples living with or serving a guru or living as a renunciate in a cave. Women could be initiates and even gurus. Deities such as Ganesha and goddesses, especially the fierce and powerful ones, were revered for their qualities that could be emulated. People were said to have gained a great deal of power from the practices, especially yoga, but that power was to be used ethically. The spiritual community, or kala, helped define what is right view or ethical living. You could actually get kicked out if you abused your power or discriminated based on caste, class, race, or gender. The Muslim and then the British invasions that started in the 13th century drove Tantra underground for centuries. Those who continued to practice in India often turned to magic, sorcery, or displays of power called the siddhis to make a living, giving Tantra a bad reputation. Tantra was almost lost except for some devoted practitioners and scholars who have been working to translate the scriptures, called Tantras, and piece together the history, rituals, and philosophy. There is still much to learn, and, of course, Tantra has had great diversity and variation within it. Today, you don't have to be a Hindu or even of Indian descent to be an initiate, and people from all cultures and walks of life are welcome. There are modern-day tantric teachers, such as Swami Rama, who founded the Himalayan Institute in eastern PA. I have been there to study with his successor, Pandit Tigane, who has 2 doctorate degrees and is a householder himself. I have also discovered a vibrant international online tantric community. Many people have heard about Tantra due to popularization by New Age sex therapists, but it cannot be reduced to this. As compared to classical yoga, which is dualistic, striving to transcend, purify, and essentially improve oneself until you don't have to be born again, most schools of Tantra are non-dual, which means that there is an essential oneness or unity of all of life, of everything, in this beautiful and sometimes terrifying world that we can experience through the senses. While ecstatic at times, it is also enstatic, or inward turning. It often combines the two, as in this passage from the Radiant Sutras. Wherever, whenever you feel carried away, rejoicing in every breath, there is your meditation hall. Tantra doesn't say spirit is better than matter or that matter or forms don't exist. We are both awareness, or Shiva, and energy, Shakti, or the divine feminine, always in play, never alone or apart. It is not a light-chasing practice, searching only for the good. It also embraces the shadow. It excludes nothing and considers that everything is a practice, an opportunity to learn and grow, especially if you can remain centered. Once again, from the Radiant Sutras. That space is bad. This space is good. The ride is rough, or the going is smooth. We are thrown into suffering. We are thrown into joy. Beloved soulmate, find the space in the center, the shimmering spaciousness encompassing all opposites. Here the essences of creation are at play. Earth, water, fire, air, and space, and the senses that perceive them. The center is the dancing ground.
We will have a sign up for those of you wishing to become tantrikas. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. You don't have to give much blood. I'm just kidding. Thanks, Heidi. Several months ago, it occurred to me that I have been on a spiritual journey all my life. Now, if I were to review my life with you, it may be obvious to you that I have been. So I guess I'm late at facing that truth and settling on the fact that all that I have been through is my spiritual path. This spiritual path has taken me through my early childhood Methodist church, through my experimental psychedelic days, Christian university, seminary, Christian church ministry, questioning and researching everything, and yoga, and now discovering the UU Church of Kent. I've been on a spiritual quest. In my quest, I began a study on Hinduism. Not a simple study, but a study. And through my study, I learned about a religious philosophy called Veda Vedanta. I've been following the teachings of Swami Sarvapriyananda with the Vedanta Society of New York. There's a Vedanta Society in California. They're spread all over. My intention is not to bore you to tears with the following information on Advaita Vedanta, which it is wont to do sometimes, nor to drown you with Hindu terminology, but perhaps what I do share may strike a spark which will encourage you in your spiritual practice. Advaita Vedanta has very deep roots in Indian culture and history and can be traced back to the 7th century. It's the foundation out of which most other beliefs have grown. It's a very heady spiritual philosophy with a big heart. And it fits me. It resonates with me. It makes sense to my mind and it comforts my soul. Have you ever been out shopping for a pair of shoes? I'm sure you have. So you try on a pair, and this pair is just too tight. I can't wear these. So you try another pair. This pair's a little sloppy. I think I can do better. So you put on another pair. Skechers. So comfortable, just right. That's Advaita Vedanta for me. It's the right fitting shoe. Kind of a poor metaphor to explain Advaita Vedanta, but it's why it works for me. So there are 3 reasons why it works for me. You can tell I used to be a minister. 3 reasons. Number 1, its perspective on oneness. Advaita means one. All things, one. Also, its perspective on the world and reality. And third, its perspective on who you are. That's where it begins. Who are you? First, what is its perspective on oneness? Well, there is a divine consciousness that is called Brahman. Brahman is one. Brahman is the source of all that is. It's not like a God sitting in heaven somewhere watching down upon you, but it is an all-pervading consciousness. All existing things are Brahman. You, trees, animals, particles, atoms, all things have their perfect existence in Brahman. Pure existence. Sanskrit says sat. All are one. Not one separate, one together. And the same Brahman, on an individual level, you, is called Atman. Your true self is Atman, Brahman, a reflection of Brahman. What do we mean when you say your true self? Can you close your eyes just for a second? I want to help you find yourself. So close your eyes for just a second. Now, who is thinking? Who is breathing? Who is hearing? Who is speaking? Who is feeling? You. That's your true self. Generally, when we describe ourselves, we say things like, I'm 6 foot tall, I weigh 175 pounds, I like ice cream. But Atman, Brahman, is the core of your being beyond your description, beyond your body, beyond your senses. And in this, we are all one. Second, what is its perspective on the world and reality? There's only one reality, Brahman. The rest, everything else, is appearance, or we say Maya. There's an old Hindu example to help us understand this that goes like, you're looking at a rope and you mistake the rope for a snake. And then later on you say, oh, my bad, that's a rope. That's not a snake. It's a rope. You learn the truth that it's a rope and not a snake through understanding, through knowledge. Perhaps somebody says, that's a rope. Oh yeah, now I see it. It's a rope, not a snake. Or you read somewhere, that's a rope. Oh, it's a rope. This is what Advaita Vedanta teaches as the path toward enlightenment. It's growing in knowledge and growing in understanding. Enlightenment is something you move into. It's not something you work for. Church membership can't get you enlightened. Baptism can't get you enlightened. Good works can't get you enlightened. Those might be all good things, not discounting them. It's sort of like having an aha moment. Oh, I see. I get it. It's a whole paradigm switch. Thirdly, what is its perspective on who you are? This is the best part. This is the main emphasis of Advaita Vedanta. As already mentioned, you are Atman. That's who you are. You're a manifestation, a manifest reflection of Brahman. As Sanskrit says, tat tvam asi, thou art that. There's an old Hindu story that I brought with me because I knew I'd forget it, that I want to read that explains who you are. It's called the 10th man. In ancient times in India, young boys were often sent at an age of 12 to study with the guru, either at the guru's house or at the guru's hermitage, if he was a renunciate. So they would go stay in a cave with him. The boy would stay with his guru for 12 years, studying the Vedas and the Upanishads, and at age 24, he would be released to go home. Well, this story concerns 10 boys who were studying at their guru's home. The boys decided that they would like to return to their village for a festival that was coming and to visit their families. And the guru was a bit concerned about their going, as he wasn't able to accompany them and take responsibility for the journey. One of the boys spoke up and said, "I'll take responsibility. I'll lead the group. Let me go." Well, the guru reluctantly agreed to let them go, and they started on their journey. On the way, they came to a swiftly flowing river, which they had to cross. The boy who was leading the group agreed to have them all hold hands while they crossed the river carefully so they would be safe. They did so, but the current was so rapid and so fast that they quickly were separated, and some of them were washed downstream a little bit, and they struggled until they got to the other side. And they scrambled up on the banks of the other side of the river, dripping wet and frightened from their experience. So the leader, to make sure that all was well, had them all line up on the bank. And he began to count just to make sure they were all there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, there were 10 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we had 10 to start with. And he counted over and over again because he thought for sure there were 10. And suddenly the boys were all in a panic because where is the 10th man? They started beating the bushes, looking around the trees, running up and down the banks. Where's the 10th man? Where is the 10th man? And the leader, of course, being responsible, began to cry out and bash his head against the tree because he was so upset that he'd lost a boy. Well, there was an old man sitting to the side who was observing it all, who said, "Young man, I can help you. I know where the 10th boy is." He had them all line up with the boy who was responsible at the end. And he began to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You are the 10th man. Oh, I am. Yes, you are. The 10th man hadn't drowned in the river. He wasn't lost. All the while, the 10th man was there as the leader, but he had gone unnoticed. He'd forgotten about himself. That's our situation. We count everything but ourselves. And we perceive things and forget ourselves. We search in all different kinds of directions. We beat the bushes. We look behind trees. We are searching. We're searching, and all the time, we're right here. You are right here. We'll now sing together hymn number 1053.
soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Randy and I would like to thank you for hanging in there with us. The service is going a little long. We recognize that, and want to say that both of the philosophies that we are attempting to explain to you are worthy of a lifetime of study. So it's as if we decided to talk about all of Unitarian Universalism in one service. So, thank you. Speaking of, Unitarian Universalists strive to live out our 7 principles while allowing for differences and diversity of spiritual beliefs or practices. We also seek to inspire and encourage one another on our chosen personal paths. We draw upon 6 sources, including mystery, poetry, scripture, science, earth-centered traditions, and direct experience. The third source is wisdom from the world's religions, which inspire us in our ethical and spiritual life. This is usually thought of as the study of sacred texts or scripture. Vedanta, simply put, is study of the Vedas. At Veda Vedanta, Randy's path looks deeply into the nature of existence and often involves having a spiritual teacher and learning from a vast library of texts, including the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. Adherents can meditate or practice yoga if they want, but study is key. Tantra focuses on transmission of teachings through study of its sacred texts, the Tantras, but it also stresses learning through a direct and personal experience of the sacred life force, or prana shakti, which comprises all of life. Both paths land in the same place, that of all of existence is united, unified, and interconnected, or Unitarian, and all beings are a part of the divine, or in Vedanta, Brahman. In a 2017 sermon given at the First Unitarian Congregation Society of Brooklyn, titled Hinduism, Unitarianism, and Appropriation, Amit Mehta says that Unitarian Universalism is explicitly a polyglot religion, which means drawing from many spiritual traditions. Having grown beyond its Christian roots, Unitarian Universalism has become not just multi-religious, but also honors and incorporates spiritual traditions, even if we live outside their native cultural settings. Mehta says that religions often overlap, interconnect, learn from, and evolve together. They share many basic truths. Mahatma Gandhi once told an angry crowd of Hindu nationalists, "I am a Muslim, and a Hindu, and a Christian, and a Jew, and so are all of you." The Unitarian Universalist Association website says, "Ideas and practices from Hinduism are welcome in Unitarian Universalism. Our worships have drawn from Hindu sources, poetry, scripture, philosophy, and kirtan, or devotional music and chanting. We share many values with Hinduism, most centrally that there is a unity at the core of religious diversity."
The UU World magazine tells a story about a village in northeast India. So a group of young college grads were commiserating that while they agreed with Hindu principles and philosophy, they could not go along with all the rituals and ceremonies. So they formed a study group to investigate the possibilities of starting a new religion. After a long study, they decided there was no need to start a new religion since one already existed that embraced all of their Hindu principles. That religion was Unitarianism. They went on to build the Unitarian Church of Kasi Janita Hills, founded in 1882. There are at least 2 other major Unitarian Hindu groups in India with deep roots. The Brahmo Samaj, a Unitarian Hindu reform movement, was founded in 1828, and it took up many social causes, including education. The Unitarian Christian Church of Chennai, Madras, was founded even earlier in 1795. The Reverend Janamachi, featured in our opening words, is a practicing UU Hindu, Brahmo Samaj, born in India, and he currently serves a church in Bethesda, Maryland. So if you think we're off track, sorry. His Hindu mother impressed on him that the spiritual journey is something deeply personal and that he needed to find and follow his own path of spiritual truth. Heidi and I could not agree more with this Unitarian Universalist Hindu idea. But let us all encourage one another on our own chosen spiritual journeys and share with one another the sources of wisdom, including gifts from the world's religion and philosophies. We also share the gifts of time and treasure with our spiritual community, just as we share sacred music, story, and dance. In addition to supporting the work of the church, our special offering this month is for Planned Parenthood of Greater Ohio. You can give through the website by texting the number on your screen. That's going to be showing up now. Those of you, well, you can see it. Those of you in-house wish to give an offering? Good. During our offering, Anne Lang will be performing an Indian Odissi dance here in Hobbs Hall. Anne has been studying Odissi dance with Sandhya Deepakar for 4 years, is also a co-director of One Love Studio here in Kent. There will be an Odissi dance workshop, just if you're interested, at One Love Yoga on August 6th, and you're welcome to register and attend. This dance is called Mangalacharan. It marks the entrance of the dancer on the stage in the Odissi style. The dancer invokes the blessings of Lord Jagannath for an auspicious beginning, who is the presiding deity. Then the dancer offers salutation to Mother Earth, the Guru, the accompanist, and the audience, and followed by a prayer to Lord Ganesha, the destroyer of all obstacles.
Oh, thank you so much, Anne. That was beautiful, as always. And I will be attending the workshop on August 6th, and I welcome you to join too. So, please join us as we extinguish the chalice in Hobbs Hall to mark the ending of our sacred time together. We hope it was auspicious. Please say with me the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. May we carry these in our hearts and minds until we are together again. Our closing hymn references the big questions religions ask and try to answer. So please feel free to sing along with Hal in Where Do We Come From?
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery. What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery. What are we? Life. Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery. What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery. What are we? Life. Where are we going? Where are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery. What are we? Where are we going? we going? Where do we come? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come? What are we? Where are we going?
As we close the service, Randy and I have chosen to end with a sacred Hindu mantra common to many traditions. This spells out the view that life, in some form, is eternal, and that wisdom helps to show us the way. Asato ma sad gamaya, tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, mrityor ma amritang gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
May we be led from the unreal to the real. May we be led from darkness to light. May we be led from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.
Credit